Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. In an era where democracy is practiced by almost all the countries the world over, the African continent is home to many men who have held offices for 2 decades or more. While some of these men have held sway by amending their constitutions to give them the backing to stand for elections, some have remained in power without recourse to democratic tenets. Today on the program, we will be taking a look at the sit-tight nature of African leaders and the manner in which they leave office. After that, we'll also be looking at building a new Nigeria. But first, let's take a look at the topics making the trends in the social cyberspace. Now, after weeks of listening to what governorship candidates have to offer, residents of Anambra State filed out in their numbers to vote for whom they feel has what it takes to lead for the next 4 years. Well, this hashtag trended as it is a global campaign launched to raise awareness on the dangers of female genital mutilation. The act, which is a circumcision for the girl child, is done usually according to traditional customs and beliefs. Well, those were the trends, but let's now join our contributors via Google Plus Hangout. And Bami Shaye Victor joins us from Lviv in Ukraine. Thank you for joining us. And Bede Chukwekezie joins us from the UK. Thank you for joining us as well. Now, let's begin with your thoughts on the sit-tight nature of some African leaders.
That's to me?
Yes, please.
All right. Oh, thank you so much. I think it's appalling that we have people who believe that power is their birthright, especially in a situation where the world is evolving. Even countries that practice anarchy, like monarchies, such as America, such as Britain and Spain, and even Japan, they've learned to leave the political space and just maintain the traditional integrity of their country and let ordinary people do politics. I mean, that's what you have in Japan, where you have the emperor. He's just like the figure. But that's, you can understand, that's monarchy. That's them trying to preserve their culture. But when you have real power and somebody is trying to sit tight, I think that's not good, and it hinders people. It hinders fresh ideas, and you can be very sure of backwardness in such societies.
It's like something that is a threat among all of them. You find out, like, when Obasanjo was in Nigeria, he never wanted to go. The other one from the Gambia, he was there for a long time and he didn't want to go again. I don't know whether it's something with the third world countries or something that is personal and people are just clinging on to it and learning from each other. As far as I'm concerned, any leader that has led for 2 terms, which is 8 years, should be able to hand over. One of the politicians said that success without a successor is useless. If you cannot trust anybody to hand over to your country, no matter how successful you think you have been during your years, your success is not holistic, because success also means training the human capital so that at the end of the day, you see people that you can hand over, because nobody is going to live forever. So it's really a very big matter of concern that at this day and age, people are still thinking that they can hang on to power for such a long time.
So what kind of system of government can African countries adopt to ensure no more sit-tight leaders? Because despite having democracies in some countries, we still have this issue. Has this system helped or not?
I think a lot of people will propose, I mean, would argue that democracy has been the best. In some other cases, like I've mentioned, in a place like Singapore, they will argue that, okay, what happened in Singapore? But the real truth and what we have to talk about is what brought you into power, and that is what should keep you there. You'll find out that the problem we have with these sit-tight presidents or leaders in Africa is that they are in that position as against the will of their people. In Singapore, you'll find out that, for example, Lee Kuan Yew was there with the full support. As a matter of fact, even when he had left, he was still made the minister mentor. He continued to mentor people who were there, even though he was no longer in power. So you find out that the only problem now is not the question of if democracy is the best practice. It's about, are you there by the will of the people? Yeah, it's not about how long you're serving, but are you there by the will of the people? What matters is, do people want you there? If people want you there, if they want you there for as long as 50 years, let there be people contesting against you and people choosing you. It will be clear that it's people who want you. I think that is clear in the case of Rwanda. You can see that in Rwanda. Yes, I mean, there are a lot of complaints here and there. It's not, I don't think any system is perfect, but we can see that a vast majority of his people want him there. I mean, Paul Kagame. So I think that is a question. Is a question of the will of the people being suppressed by these people who many times came there by the will of the people, but stayed too long outside of the will of the people. One of our neighbors there, Cameroon, you can see what he's doing.
I think it's not right. Any form of government that perpetuates power on the hands of any person is not good. You know, my friends talked about if the people want you there, if the people don't want you there. We have seen that there are many types of people in this world, and there are many ways people can show that people want people. People can be purchased. People can be coerced into wanting somebody. Crowds can be rented and manipulated to, like North Korea. Do you think they want the leader there? But if you have 100 elections today, they will manipulate it the way they want to manipulate it, and he will win. That is why the people that formulated democracy and other forms of government have to make limit the amount of time people stay in office. If we want to talk about the issue of the best form of government, I don't believe in democracy. I can understand it, but I don't believe in it because fundamentally, democracy is unattainable. It is idealistic. When you say government of the people, by the people, for the people, and then you come and tell me that it is a game of, and in 100, 51 is the majority. What of the other 49? Are they not among the people?